For 3 decades, Somaliland has existed as a paradox in the Horn of Africa, a functioning state with its own government, currency and army, yet denied official recognition by the world. Since declaring independence from Somalia in 1991, Somaliland has charted its own course, maintaining stability and democratic governance while its neighbors struggled with conflict. Despite its achievements, no country has granted it diplomatic recognition, leaving it in a state of international limbo. This quest for legitimacy has reached a turning point as regional and global powers now vie for influence in the Horn of Africa. The 2024 agreement between Somaliland and Ethiopia, offering Ethiopia long-sought access to the sea in exchange for possible recognition, has upended the region's status quo. Somaliland's strategic location on the Gulf of Aden, overlooking the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a choke point for global trade, makes it a coveted partner for powers like the US and UK. In a region marked by instability, Somaliland's peace and security have made it a bulwark against chaos and a potential linchpin for counterterrorism. The story of Somaliland's quest for recognition is now a test of international law, a flashpoint for regional rivalries, and a case study in shifting global power. As the stakes rise, Somaliland's future is no longer just a local issue. It's a critical chapter in the evolving politics of the Horn of Africa. Unlike the rest of Somalia, which descended into chaos, Somaliland's leaders built peace through clan-based conferences, blending tradition with democracy. This grassroots approach created a stable government, a national currency, and a security force that kept extremist groups at bay. Over 3 decades, Somaliland has held multiple free and fair elections, most recently in 2024, demonstrating a commitment to peaceful transfers of power. Yet despite its stability and democratic progress, Somaliland remains unrecognized, largely due to African Union fears of encouraging other secessionist movements. In spite do mamatsi nainbiag. Isolation. For spire there's no real dikes cost on sovereignty. Somaliland is cut off from international financial institutions and development aid. Still, its people remain determined, building a functioning state against the odds. Somaliland's patient pursuit of recognition is a testament to its resilience and the enduring hope for a seat at the table of nations. Its journey is a rare African success story, one still waiting for the world to acknowledge. Ethiopia, Africa's most populous landlocked nation, has long viewed its lack of coastline as a strategic vulnerability. Since losing access to the sea after Eritrea's independence in 1993, Ethiopia has relied almost entirely on Djibouti's port, paying billions in fees, and facing growing insecurity. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has made it clear, Ethiopia's economic future depends on sovereign access to the sea. With a booming population and expanding trade, Ethiopia's dependence on a single foreign port is unsustainable. The port of Berbera in Somaliland offers a direct route to the Gulf of Aden and global shipping lanes. Years of economic cooperation on the Berbera corridor set the stage for a deeper partnership. In 2024, Ethiopia saw a chance. Somaliland needed recognition, and Ethiopia needed a coastline. The resulting deal was bold. Ethiopia would gain a naval base and commercial port access, while Somaliland would move closer to international legitimacy. For Ethiopia, the risks of angering Somalia were outweighed by the promise of economic security. This alignment of interests has redrawn the region's strategic map. On January 1, 2024, Ethiopia and Somaliland signed a deal that reverberated across the Horn of Africa. Somaliland agreed to lease part of its coastline to Ethiopia for 50 years, granting Ethiopia a long-coveted naval base and commercial access to the Red Sea. In return, Ethiopia pledged to consider recognizing Somaliland's independence, a breakthrough after decades of diplomatic deadlock. The agreement also deepened economic ties, with Ethiopia gaining a stake in Berbera port. For Somaliland, the deal was a high-stakes gamble for international legitimacy. Somalia's government reacted with outrage, denouncing the agreement as a violation of its sovereignty and recalling its ambassador from Addis Ababa. The crisis quickly escalated, transforming a bilateral deal into a regional flashpoint. Despite intense pressure, Ethiopia and Somaliland have continued talks, signaling their commitment to the pact. The deal remains a defining moment, reshaping alliances and challenging the established order in the Horn of Africa. The United States has long walked a diplomatic tightrope in the Horn of Africa, officially supporting Somali unity while quietly engaging Somaliland. Somaliland's location near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait makes it vital for U.S. interests in trade and maritime security. Its stability and success in countering terrorism have made it a valuable partner for American security agencies. As great power competition intensifies, Washington sees Somaliland as a bulwark against Chinese and Russian influence. Somaliland's ties with Taiwan have further endeared it to U.S. policymakers wary of Beijing's ambitions. The return of Donald Trump and a Republican Congress in 2025 could make the U.S. more open to recognizing Somaliland, especially given its anti-China stance. While official policy still backs a unified Somalia, growing engagement on the ground signals a shift in American priorities. Somaliland's strategic value is now impossible for Washington to ignore. The UK's relationship with Somaliland is shaped by history and strategy. As the former colonial power, Britain maintains a liaison office in Hargeisa and is a major provider of aid and support for democratic institutions. The UK values Somaliland's role in securing the Gulf of Aden's trade routes and combating piracy. Somaliland's democratic progress stands out in a turbulent region, making it a model for stability. London's policy is pragmatic, deep engagement without formal recognition, in line with the African Union's stance. The UK encourages dialogue between Somaliland and Somalia, hoping for a peaceful resolution. But as Ethiopia's moves shift the regional balance, Britain may be forced to reconsider its cautious approach. Somaliland's future could soon test the limits of UK diplomacy in the Horn of Africa. The Ethiopia-Somaliland deal triggered a diplomatic crisis, intensifying rivalries and forging new alliances. Somalia responded by deepened its military ties with Somalia, while Egypt pledged support and reportedly prepared to deploy troops as part of an African Union mission. The region quickly became a proxy battleground, with Ethiopia backing Somali federal states to pressure Mogadishu. These maneuvers risk further fragmenting Somalia and escalating into wider conflict. Turkey attempted mediation, but talks failed to resolve the core dispute. The lifting of the UN arms embargo on Somalia has raised fears of an arms race. The Horn of Africa is now more militarized and polarized than ever, with Somaliland's status at the center of the storm. The region's fragile peace hangs in the balance. As 2025 draws to a close, Somaliland stands at a crossroads, closer than ever to recognition, but facing immense risks. The Ethiopia deal has energized its quest for statehood, but also inflamed regional tensions and drawn in powerful adversaries. Somalia, backed by Egypt and Turkey, remains implacably opposed, framing the issue as a threat to its sovereignty. The African Union's commitment to colonial-era borders remains a major barrier to recognition. The US and UK, attracted by Somaliland's stability and strategic value, are edging toward deeper engagement, but remain cautious. Great power competition is shifting the calculus, with China and Russia's influence pushing Western powers to reconsider old positions. A change in U.S. policy could tip the balance, but the risks of miscalculation are high. Somaliland's stability, its greatest asset, could be undone by a single wrong move. The region is a tinderbox, and the next steps will shape the future of the Horn of Africa. Somaliland's journey is now a defining test of diplomacy, law, and the shifting sands of global power.